Hello, everyone, and welcome to Love Chat with the Love Twins. It's Michelle, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. We have a very special love chat. You know, one of the things that makes all the difference in doing the work that we do is hearing how the work, which we call the heart work, how the heart work can impact a woman who at one point maybe felt like her time has passed, or maybe she's lost faith in that it's possible to fall in love, or it's possible to have an amazing career and a beautiful love life. Here's one thing we know for sure. All of us has gone through some kind of love journey. And right now, whether you're in a love journey that has led you to the love of your life, or you're in a love journey where you're moving past heartbreak, like getting past your past or rebuilding your faith in love, your faith in yourself again. We invite you today during this love chat to really listen for what's the piece that's missing for you, that if you were able to break through it, it would make all the difference for you. That you would be able to trust yourself to make the best choices when it comes to your life and your love life, that you would be able to reignite that spark of desire in your heart, or even match or meet the desire that you have in your heart. Really face it and say, you know what, this is something that I really want. I'm not going to keep putting it off. I'm not going to keep pretending that it's not something that I want. I'm not going to keep holding on to the stories that my ex told me, or my parents told me, or even I've created in my own life about this is impossible for me. I choose today to move one step closer to being able to have the kind of love and love story I've always wanted. So I want to introduce you to two real women, because it's one thing for Gladys and I to talk to you about our work. And I mean, we say it like it is. We don't invent the numbers. We don't invent the stories. And we know that it adds something for you to be able to meet women who actually have been where you've been, who've been able to take a love story that didn't turn out the way they wanted to, reinvent themselves, restore their faith in themselves, recreate themselves, and create the kind of life and love that their heart desires. So I want to introduce you to two women just like you, who are clients of Gladys and mine, and who have been able to, through this work, really create the life and love that their heart desires. So I want to introduce you to Melissa and Rosalind. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. So I want to start with you, Melissa. If you could just introduce yourself, tell the ladies a little bit about yourself, your age, what you do for a living, and then I'll ask Rosalind to introduce herself as well.
Sure. My name is Melissa Moss. I am a business owner helping people in the financial world, and I am 39 and 2 days old.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So that's a little bit about me. Just the biographical, right? So
yeah, thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah, just so they can kind of see who they're in a conversation with today. What about you, Rosalind? You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'm Rosalind. I am 56 years old. I have two grown children. Both are in the military, and I'm actually a nurse practitioner and work for a military organization.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies. So you very much represent the demographic that we attract into our community. You know, you are successful women. You are women who have, you know, full lives. It's not like you're sitting around going, I wonder what's the next thing that's going to fall on my plate. And yet you've been able to create the kind of life and love that your heart desires. But that wasn't always the case. That wasn't always the case. So Melissa, when you first came to work with us, where were you at on your love journey?
Yeah, I was, when I first came, about 2 years ago, I came back into the world, and I was seeing somebody who, I guess it wasn't a real relationship. It was a situationship, and I was unwilling to see that that's what it was. And it was very vivid.
By that, in case somebody doesn't know what you mean by situationship.
It was not a real relationship. It was very one-sided. I was It was not a committed, loving relationship. It was not we're both here with the same intentions to explore life partnership together. I did a lot of settling inside of that and just thinking, oh, well, I feel good when I'm around this person, and terrible when I'm not. And I was really, really just taking any crumb I could get and telling myself, hey, that is good enough. I'm in my late 30s. Everyone's already, all the good men are taken or whatever. And I just had that story that it wasn't available for me and I just needed to settle.
I thank you for your honesty and your vulnerability, because so many, I was there myself too. So we're acting like we're in a relationship, and I could have said it better than you said it. It's very one-sided. And one of the things that you said is really important, because I think it's something that can be misinterpreted, but it's very important thing to pay attention to. If you feel good when you're someone, but you feel terrible when you're not with them, there's something about that really needs to pique your curiosity, because there's something that you're needing in that person that you're not finding within yourself. And many times it's an attachment that you have to them. And many times it's because underneath, that this is not really what you want. And the fear of losing even what you have can have you feel that way. So you're in this situationship, and you come and you start working with us. And what was one of the things that had you say, I'm going to work with the Love Twins. I think that this is really going to make a difference for my love life.
I think it's the continued, the belief that I could actually have the love I say I wanted. And I don't think I had that belief for myself, but I know in speaking with everyone at Heart's Desire, you, Gladys, I can't remember who else I spoke with. Oh my goodness. Anyway, all of the coaches, everyone just, yes, you just held my vision so highly and knew it was possible. I had the belief in that. And I really was I didn't have that. And so seeing through their eyes what was possible for me. And, I knew in my heart that I was truly settling, and I was not happy. I was trying to tell myself I was, but I really I needed that belief in myself, and to be around people who could hold me to that standard of I can have and create what I say I want. And I'm worthy of that. I needed people to believe in my worthiness for me to get there too.
I really appreciate you saying that, because isn't that why anybody gets a coach? And whatever it is that they want, they recognize that where they're at and where they want to be, there's a gap in between. I really love that whoever it was that you spoke to on our team helped you to see that even though you may not see it completely for yourself, that there is a way to get there, that there's a way through what you were going through, and that you were even able to admit to yourself that you're settling. Because many times, we speak to a lot of women, you could justify that. You could keep pretending, but there was something that we poked at, which is what you want your coach to do. You want your coach to be poking at the things that you haven't looked at, or the things that you haven't been willing to look at, so that you can close that gap, so you can move into the breakthrough. So I'm going to come back to you in just a moment. Rosalind, I think you might be able to see yourself a little bit in Melissa's story, but then also you had your own experience. Would you share a little bit about where you were when you started working with us?
Yes, I can definitely identify a lot with Melissa's story. I was also in a situationship, and I never knew where I stood. And I would also attach too soon, intimacy-wise and sexually. So I didn't even know how to set boundaries for and honor myself and what I needed. But it was this on again, off again. And I didn't have even the confidence. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how to go about getting there. And I didn't know that I first had to have a relationship for myself. All I saw is certain people had a successful relationship, and I knew that's what I desired. But I also didn't have the confidence to go out and really set a vision for my relationship. I didn't even know how to have a relationship for myself or with myself. I didn't even have confidence in myself. So my self-esteem and my confidence was horrible. Was very successful in my career. I was even a medical director. I knew how to do all of those things really well, but my personal life was horrible. I had broken relationships. I had a divorce, and I did not know how to build that. And I remember having a horrible trigger with the guy I was seeing in the situationship. And another friend of mine I had met in another group, she was like, hey, you need to talk to these coaches. And Coach Emma reached out on and scheduled an appointment when she was on vacation. And it was the first time that I heard something different. And I was like, I want that. I don't know how to get that. I don't know what all that means, but I just know I'm finally hearing something that is different, and I'm hearing what's possible. And so didn't attend one meeting, didn't even know much about it. And I was signing on the dotted line to participate because I'm like, this is what I want. And then I attended my first live event, and I was like, seeing how you and Gladys interacted with your spouses, I was like, that is what I want. I've not seen this before, and I am hungry for that. And I had a lot of work to do to get to the confidence of being able to step into that relationship and really have the commitment for myself and with myself. But it was the first time all of a sudden I was seeing what was possible. And dreams were coming alive. And it was like somebody is standing for me and loving me where I'm at and the messiness and all of that, and supporting me on my journey to have that with myself and then the relationship I desired. So I always joke I was just a hot mess when I came on board. And I say that lovingly to myself, and can say that now and joke about it, because I was really that broken. And again, I knew how to do career really well. I was very successful. Yeah. I had set all the bars and everything, but I didn't know how to do relationships well. And I didn't know how to do the relationship with myself well. And it's been a journey, but one I'm so thankful 2.5 years ago I stepped into, and I said yes, because I was that important. And it all starts with myself. So
absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And, I'm grateful also that you brought up the confidence piece, because many times the women that come into our community, they are, and just like Melissa was too, you're excelling at work, you're excelling in your careers. There are these other areas in your life that you're doing so well in. And then there's this piece of your life that you really want to experience something extraordinary in. And however you're being in those other areas isn't really transferring over to this. And the confidence to do it, a lot of people think I first have to be confident before I can do it. No, you first have to be courageous enough, like both of you have been, to look at yourself, first judging yourself, and then learning how to let go of the judgment and seeing that there isn't anything wrong with you. There isn't anything that you have to fix about yourself. There are behaviors, there are ways of thinking, patterns of thinking and speaking, and things that you've told yourself over the years that have programmed you to believe that you've got to settle, or you've got to attach, or you've got to have some version of what you really want. I know for myself, I absolutely experienced that as well. And it's very frustrating when you're in that situation where you know how to create success, and yet you really want love, and it can play a real toll on your self-esteem, on the way you see yourself. So I really acknowledge both of you for having the courage to be that vulnerable. And I invite anybody who's experiencing yourself in that space to also look at yourself and say, what if I could believe it's not that there's something wrong with me? What if it's something that I haven't seen, or something that I've missed, something I've been telling myself, something that if I just was able to break through that piece it would all start coming together. And for both of you, it started coming together for you in the Ready to Love Again program. So I know that there were so many breakthroughs that you could share. I really would love to know for you, Melissa, what was the turning point for you that really took you from, from here to here, as far as you recognize this was the there were many pieces, but this was the biggest piece for you. And then what did it look like once you got that?
So what's initially coming to mind is there's the challenge right before Valentine's Day last year. And I think the Love Vision, it wasn't a challenge, it was a retreat. Mm-hmm. Yes. So good. And at that time, I was still clinging on to that situationship. I was, I had said, thank you very much for your coaching. I'm going to do what I want anyway. And so I went forward with making a bet, what now I see was not the choice I actually wanted. In that weekend, we were doing this vision exercise, and it was black. I couldn't see anything. That was the moment for me where it was almost like the bottom, right? It was my low in this whole experience.
Your rock bottom, yeah.
Realizing that there was something I was unwilling to see, yet it was keeping me from seeing everything I wanted.
Yeah.
And I had to get real with myself in that moment. And it took a couple of days. Literally though, I think 2 days later, I was free. I had made the decision. Okay, I am unwilling to continue this, unwilling to not let myself have what I really want. And so I just started peeling things back and going to the heart of the matter. And that is ultimately these all of the exercises, they're really built in such a way. Sorry, my dog is saying hi. Built in such a way to help you get at what's so important and true, what's really there, to have you see what you need to see. And that is what helped me break through that barrier I had. And it was a challenging week. I'm not going to say it wasn't, but it was easy compared to what it could have been. So.
Yeah, well, it's called the challenge for a reason, because we're going to challenge the beliefs. We're going to challenge the blind spots, which is what you couldn't see. So when you can't see something, that in and of itself can be very frustrating. But at the same time, when you have support to be able to see it, that's the part that has you feel like, well, it was easier than not seeing it, because up until the point that you see a blind spot, it's still impacting you, whether you see it or not, whether you recognize it's there or not. So you started to uncover for yourself, what is the thing that's in the way? And then you had the courage to be able to say, I'm not going to keep settling. I'm not going to do this anymore. And I say courage, and I don't use the word lightly, because it does take courage, even, and this is, what settling creates, right? Even though it's not what we want, we think it's better than the alternative, when really you discovered that the alternative was where your freedom was. And you set yourself free by being willing to cut the ties with that. And then I remember, and I'll come back to you to discuss a little more, but I remember that shortly after that, you started dating. Like, you are one of our biggest success stories when it comes to dating. I don't even know, how many guys were you dating at the same time?
I don't remember. There's a spreadsheet somewhere.
Of course you had a spreadsheet. Of course you did. So Rosalind, for you, what was your turning point? What was the thing where you said, you know what, this is not working for me anymore, and this is what I choose to do instead?
For me, even though it was about the love vision, it was about the relationship with myself. And I remember it was after Christmas, beginning of January of 2023. And I don't know which event it was, but I remember you and Gladys both confronting me about my commitment. Mm-hmm. And you both told me, how can a man commit to you when you cannot even commit to yourself? Yeah. And that was my big turning point, because I was like, oh, you're right. I know how to commit to all these other things. And if it's somebody else, I am committing to it. But for myself, I didn't have that level of commitment for me. And I was playing small, and I was not even really committed to HeartWork. It was like, I'll talk, basically I'll talk and no action. And I was dabbling, and hiding and withdrawing was my coping mechanism. I knew how to do it very well. And I remember it was like you both tag team, and Gladys was like, get out your phone. And I was like, well, what are we doing? See, and she was like, type a message, and she was like, send it. And she was like, that's how easy it is to check in with us every day. And I expect you to be doing that every day. And I was like, oh, yes, ma'am. Oh, okay, got it. I will not say no to Gladys. So that was, but I needed that because y'all saw through my just, I don't want to say BS, but I was kind of trying to fool myself, but y'all saw all the things and you were like, no, I'm calling you out on this because you're not really. And after that, I hit the ground running, and it was like game on. And but that's what I needed. I needed that accountability, and for my coach to say, red, I'm calling the red flag. I'm throwing the flag here because you are messing around. And if you're really wanting what you want, this is you. It will be 10 years before you have it at the pace you're going, because you are not serious about it. And that's what I needed. And I
absolutely. I just want to jump in there because I'm sorry, I have to take this earring off. It's really bothering me. Oh, it's hurting me. Okay, so I want to jump in there because many times what people are afraid of is someone calling out what's really going on. Power of coaching, you both have talked about it, is doing the work to see, first of all, what's in the way, because until you can see it, you can't transform it. And then you've got to acknowledge it, or you still can't transform it. So it's the telling the truth, having that authenticity and vulnerability to say the truth, and then to have a coach that's willing to go there with you and not play safe with you, not back down. And we always do it with relentless compassion, right? We ruthless compassion, right? We'll go all the way there without ever demeaning or disrespecting, but really telling you how it is so that there's no questioning anymore or keeping yourself in a state of confusion. Because I'll tell you, one of the most painful places to be is in a state of confusion. And sometimes we don't even know we're confused. But until you tell yourself the truth, you're going to be in a haze, and you're not going to find any power there. So in addition to being able to do the heart work, to be able to break through the blind spots and see what's really there, and you both discovered for yourself, it was, Melissa, what did you see was in the blind spot for you that had you be willing to settle? What's one thing you saw?
Well, gosh, what I mainly saw was I would never get what I want with that course of action or inaction or whatever. And so, and I had choice in the matter. And also there was a whole lot of other stuff going on that made me act so fast that it was absolutely not where I wanted to be. I got out of that situation as fast as I could, especially after the vision exercise. Oh my goodness. I just, when the thing clicks, it clicks, and there's nothing else in the way. Right. So there's a lot, sometimes you'll hear, it doesn't have to take a long time, and it doesn't. There was resistance. I resisted the truth. And then when I got to that truth, it was so fast. It was great.
It was great. So I want to just, because I know your story. So what you saw was how much it was costing you. You finally saw the price that you were paying. If you continue down that route, that was going to be the price that you paid. It may look a little bit different. It might look a little bit better, but it was not going to be what you wanted, because that road was not going to take you there.
Yeah.
So being willing to say, I may be getting a lot out of this. I don't have to be alone. I don't have to feel like nobody's choosing me. But when you pull the curtain back, what was really there is this is not what I want. This person is not what I want. And if I keep down this route, I'm never going to have it. And that's what you finally saw. And then everything that it was costing you time. It was costing you your confidence. It was costing you the ability to see yourself as who you really were. And that was no longer that was my experience of what you went through. And it was like, once you saw that and you really started to see your own worth, there was no stopping you. There really wasn't. And now it was like, okay, who's the man who's going to meet me where I'm at? Who's the guy who's going to meet me where I'm at without settling and without also unrealistic expectations, very realistic desires that you had. But there was now, because you could see who you were, you could see somebody else who was that too. So that was my experience. And Rosalind, for you, what was the thing that you saw when you finally broke through that was the thing that was in the way?
It was actually my limiting beliefs and my list of this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and my list of I don't want was very hard for me to get past. And it was because of the story I had created in my marriage and everything so I was stuck in this story. And until I was willing to release that story and the impact it was having on me, I couldn't create something new. And I had to be willing to get past that and what all I had made it mean. And also my lengthy list, I had to, I want Mr. this, and this. And when I started creating it about the experience and the relationship I wanted, it was like game on. But I had to be willing to give up the list and what I did not want, because the very thing I didn't want was actually the very thing I needed and the very thing I got. Yeah. So
beautiful. So thank you for sharing that, because this is the other thing. Sometimes, and this is not always easy to see, how much of what you've already experienced, whether it's with a partner, an ex-husband, an ex-boyfriend, or even something some trauma or some drama that you went through in your past, is the very thing that you keep reliving, because what you're focusing on is not repeating that. So that fear, that energy of fear and that energy of resistance actually perpetuates the very thing that you don't want, which has you create this list. And ladies, so what Rosalind is pointing to is the list of unrealistic expectations, thinking that the man has to be this age and he has to be this job and he has to do this and he has to have this many kids or not that many kids. And the focus is on the man, which means that you've given all your power over to one individual walking the face of the earth that you're going to maybe run into, maybe not, which is terrifying. It's just terrifying. And Melissa, you're now in a beautiful relationship with your boyfriend. And what is one thing that you know that this is a relationship for you? What is it that you get to experience every day that is one thing that you wanted to experience when you started looking at what you wanted to have as far as your relationship?
It's how he takes care of me and also my dog. It's just, we're on his mind. He worries about us. He's there for us. It's so nice to have a partnership. And we're incorporated into each other's families. So we're going to family events, and it's just lovely to be doing life with someone.
And how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you the real you in this relationship?
Completely. So 12.
It's a 12. And that's one of the things that I see in our work, is the ability to really be who you are, not the you that you became through all of the experiences you've been through, but the you that you really are, with all your quirks and all your faults and all your amazing gifts and beautiful things that you carry with you, that you can be that way. And he looks in your direction and he can see that and recognize that. And I love that you feel that safety and that security in that relationship, and you feel taken care of, because that's something that's so important for us as women. Now, you've got to be able to be open to and available to something like that. And it's not going to happen when you've got all this protection around you. So when your walls dropped, then the real essence of you came out. So I'm so happy you get to experience that. And what about you, Rosalind? You're getting ready to walk down the aisle in how many days?
Actually, Saturday. So
On Saturday.
4 days. Yeah.
4 days from now, and I'll be there watching you walk
Yep.
down the aisle. I'm so excited about that. So, how is this relationship different, and who do you get to be in this relationship that you always wanted to be?
This relationship is different because I can be my authentic self. He, whether I have a good day, bad day, he is there to protect me, to encourage me, to just be my support. I feel like he's my anchor, that he's my very best friend. And that was something I wanted, was that very best friend. So Saturday, I get to marry my best friend. And the thing I think our relationship is it sums it up, is peace. We both want, one of our big values is peace, and that's our relationship. It is a very peaceful, safe, fun relationship, and we accept each other where we're at and who we are. We don't try and change each other, and that was a game changer for me. And so it's, especially being older, we have blended families, we have adult kids, so it's blending all of that and knowing that this is who we're running our end of the life journey with, and we're on the same team and have the same goals and values. So I'm so excited I get to marry my best friend.
Oh, I'm so excited for
Yep.
you. I really am excited for you. And Melissa, you were nodding your head. There is no value that you can put on being at peace in your relationship and being with someone that feels like they're your rock. They've got your back. You're not doing this life alone, which can feel, we could all do it alone because we all did it alone. Like, there's nothing left to prove, and you don't have to. And it does make life easier, and it does make life flow. Are there things that come up in relationships? Absolutely. But you also learned in the program, how do you talk? How do you communicate? How do you let go of something without having it become this dramatic thing? We're going to go ahead and wrap up today's love chat. I just want to ask you, Melissa, if there's one thing, if there's somebody sitting out there and she's wondering, could this happen for me? Will I really be able to have the breakthroughs? What do you want to say to that woman who might be thinking that?
It's absolutely possible. And if you don't have the faith in that yourself yet, go borrow the faith of the coaches in this program. It's worth it. It's so, so good.
Oh, thank you. What about you, Rosalind? What do you want to say as you're getting 4 days away from walking down the aisle? And I know if I would have told you a year ago this would be happening, you would have thought I was nutso. So what do you want to say to the ladies who might be feeling like, is it really possible for me? Could it happen for me?
Absolutely. And I would say just take a risk and step into it. It was scary to step in, but it was the best decision for my life that I made. It's impacted all my relationships for the better. I have the love of my life. I'm getting married. So it has been life-changing, and you are worth every bit to take the risk for yourself. And that event actually gave me the courage to actually step away from my situationship and start stepping into what I want. So you're totally worth it. And I know it's easy for the rest of all of us to spend time and money for others, but this is the one time it's worth spending time for yourself in order to change yourself, your relationships, and to actually have the extraordinary life you want.
I love that. So real quick before we drop off, because I just saw it's like how highly driven, the title of today's love chat is how highly driven women easily attract the right man. So Melissa, from the time you started working with us to the time you were in the relationship of your dreams, how much time elapsed?
Oh gosh. That was less than a year. Those 9 months.
9 months. Okay. What about you, Rosalind? From the time you started working with us to the time that you're in the relationship of your dreams?
10 months.
10 months. So in less than a year, your entire life can transform. You transform, your life transform, and your love life transform. All you need is the steps and the guidance. And as Melissa said, borrow our faith until your faith is as strong as ours is, that this is possible for you. Ladies, I can't even thank you enough for taking time out of your day to be here to share your love stories. And most of all, thank you for trusting us with your hearts and with your love lives. We love you so much.
I love you.
Thank you. Love you.
All right, ladies, that's a wrap for today's Love Chat. We'll see many of you tomorrow at Date Like a CEO. Check your email if you don't know what I'm talking about. And we'll also see you at the Irresistible Woman Live, November 22nd through the 24th. We can't wait to see you there. And until our hearts meet again, always remember that you are loved. Goodbye for now.